This is Dave, and I'm here with Ethan, and together we are Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 178-inch.
On this episode, we conclude our interview with the great polka partier himself, David Bloom, the actor who portrays Teenage Al in Weird the Al Yankovic Story.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
It's a podcast about Weird Al.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Seriously, the whole podcast is about Weird Al.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
You don't have to listen, but we're glad you are.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Well, hello there, Ethan. Happy American Thanksgiving.
Hi, Dave. Happy American Thanksgiving to you, too.
I thought we got to take this holiday off.
Well, no, unfortunately, our podcast is essential, so we have to do it this week.
Oh, really?
Well, plus we already had Canadian Thanksgiving off 6 weeks earlier.
Oh, is that why we were off? Glad you cleared that up for me.
Oh, anytime. Oh, and speaking of, I suppose it's time for What's Happening in Weird Al Related News! What's Happening in Weird Al Related News is brought to you in part by Well, and the True Legends of the once great forum Wowway, in accordance with support for the rights of gays and LGBTQ+, and people who wash their hands regularly. Thanks, Mark Heidenreich, for the sponsorship.
Last Wednesday, the Albany New York Times Union newspaper published an article called Weird Al Yankovic Superfan Gets Spot in New Biopic Parody on their website, timesunion.com.
And then a few days later, in the Sunday edition of their paper, on November 20th, they printed the article on the front page of their Unwind section.
Written by Catherine Kiesling, the article heavily features an interview with our very own Ethan Ullman about this very podcast and the story of how he and his co-host, Dave Elvis Rossi, had the opportunity to appear in the brand new smash hit film, Weird the Al Yankovic Story.
After seeing the article, director Eric Appel let me know that he sent the article to his in-laws, who actually live really close to me, Dave.
We both love this article very much, but we were both very confused by one thing that slipped through the fact-checking department.
Yes, it's very concerning. It lists that our intern Frank is our, quote, imaginary scapegoat intern.
Clearly, this is our no good, good for nothing, smelly intern Frank's fault. Or else, how could an error this huge be made? He is obviously and unfortunately real, but don't worry, we will be reprimanding him justly for all the pain that this has caused the readers of the great Times Union newspaper and the entire Hearst family.
Now, this article was posted over in our Facebook group, group.2000inch.com, or just simply Google Ethan Ullman, Weird Al, Times Union, like a normal person of the 21st century.
Huge props to fellow Weird Al fan Catherine Kiesling on the awesome article.
As exciting as that article is and was, it's not the only place Weird Al and Weird the Al Yankovic Story has been mentioned in print lately.
That's right, you can read all about it in the latest issues of Rolling Stone and Variety.
Where else have you seen Weird Al's name show up in print? Please share with us over at group.2000inch.com.
The 13th Annual Hollywood Music and Media Awards was held last Wednesday, November 16th, and Now You Know, the brand new song that appears over the end credits in Weird the Al Yankovic Story, won an award.
Now You Know beat out 4 other songs in this extremely specific category called Song, Streamed Film, No Theatrical Release.
In addition to the win, Weird the Al Yankovic Story was also nominated in the categories of Music-Themed Film, Biopic or Musical, and Score, Streamed, Live-Action Film, No Theatrical Release.
Where do they come up with these category names?
Who knows? Anyway, from all of us here at Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, congratulations to Weird Al and Weird the Al Yankovic Story for the nominations and the win.
It was announced yesterday that Village Roadshow Entertainment will oversee the sale of television, streaming, and home entertainment rights to Weird the Al Yankovic Story in all global markets, excluding the US, Canada, UK, and Latin America.
This is really good news for everyone outside of the US, Canada, UK, and Latin America, as it should ensure that they will no longer need to be hooligans and should be able to watch the film legally.
We will keep an eye on this developing story and will report back with any significant further information.
How awesome for these countries.
Originally slated for release on Tuesday, November 22nd, the release of The Illustrated Al, the songs of Weird Al Yankovic, has been delayed.
In an email sent to those who have pre-ordered the books via the publisher Z2 Comics, Z2 said that the books are expected to ship starting the week of December 5th.
And in an email apparently to those who pre-ordered the Super Deluxe Edition, it was also stated that the Weird Al Yankovic branded mini accordions are delayed until March 2023 due to supply chain issues.
A notice on Z2's website also mentions that softcover editions will be available exclusively through retail on November 22nd, 2022.
And Amazon.com, IndieBound, and Barnes & Noble's listings for the book claim it will be released December 20th, while Books A Million lists a December 13th release date.
Prior to the emails being sent out by Z2, friend and supporter of the podcast, Jake Larson, claims he posted on the Facebook page for Z2 asking about the release date, only to have his post deleted by the page.
The confusion over the release date and how this is all being handled has caused some fans to cite concerns over the Z2 Comics brand based on anecdotes, their actions, and their reputation when it's come to other highly anticipated releases in the past.
We will keep an eye on this developing story and will report back with any significant further information.
Wife of Weird Al, Suzanne Yankovic, has shared some extremely interesting videos on her public Instagram account at Suzanne Yankovic Photo in the past week.
First up is a barefoot Weird Al donning his famous blue Simpsons robe, hilariously covering an accordion tune as seen in the new Cate Blanchett film, Tar.
Suzanne also shared 2 videos of Weird Al performing in some sort of celebrity garage band supergroup featuring David Wayne on drums, along with fellow The State alums Ken Marino and Joe Latrulio, as well as actress Beth Dover and additional unnamed performers.
In the first video, Al is singing We're an American Band by Grand Funk Railroad, and in the second, Al's playing accordion on Cheap Trick's I Want You to Want Me.
I am so interested to find out what is going on here. Is Al working on a supergroup album? Is he just having fun? What do you think, Dave?
I think Al was auditioning additional support for his upcoming European tour.
Well, if that's the case, then I guess I'm flying out to Europe, because that would be super cool.
Our friend Lee Seitz alerted us that past guest and friend of the podcast, Kelly Phillips, appears on the most recent episode of a podcast called Fave 5 from Fans.
It's episode number 71, and Kelly talks about her favorite 5 Weird Al songs, and even mentions sitting next to her favorite Weird Al podcast hosts at the Philadelphia screening of Weird the Al Yankovic Story, among other things.
If you want to check it out, you can find all the details over at fave5fromfans.com.
We also wanted to alert you that our friend Chris Michaud is putting on an encore presentation of Zoom Jeopardy for fans, friends, and listeners of our podcast.
Head on over to group.2000inch.com for the event information. Zoom Jeopardy will kick off at 9:30 p.m. Burrito time on Saturday, November 26th.
This episode is brought to you in part by vegan burrito restaurant Burrito in Troy, New York, home of the 2-pound double wrapped in a quesadilla Burrito, and Wizard Burger in Albany, New York. Come on down to Burrito and Burrito your Burrito, or hop on over to Wizard Burger for mouth-watering loaded, dare I say, beefy vegan burgers. From Troy to Albany to Uranus, Burrito and Wizard Burger feed the hunger with out-of-this-world, plant-based, real food, always vegan style. Visit burritosquare.com and wizardburger.com to order ahead.
Ooh, that noise hasn't tickled our eardrums in a while.
Yes, yeah. What does it mean?
I think that means we have a message on our 347 Spatula hotline, the official hotline of Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
All right, play that message, intern Frank, or else.
Hey, Gil and Chillers, Johnny O'Hearn here, calling for a little sentimental moment. I wanted to say that Heather and I met a fellow fan of the podcast out in the wild. So, we were at a photo op line at Rhode Island Comic Con to meet the devil himself, the newly crowned AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, the man who is better than you, and you know it. And amidst a sea of pro wrestling tees and cheap knockoff Burberry scarves, I see a pretty stinkin' majestic Weird the Al Yankovic Story hat. Conversation is struck up, and it turns out this guy, Will, listens to the show. If I recall correctly, he gave you a Mr. Goodbar for your Darwin, Minnesota wooden nickels. Anyways, that was pretty sweet. It was really nice meeting you, Will. Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm just realizing. Did y'all think I was going to say MJF listens to the podcast? Oh, no. He'd surely rather shove a railroad spike through his skull. No offense.
Oh, very cool. Thanks for the call, Johnny. We totally remember meeting Will at the Weird screening in Philadelphia.
Yeah, we got a picture giving him some wooden nickels in exchange for Mr. Goodbar. Dave, did you ever eat that Mr. Goodbar he gave you?
Not yet. It's still living in the fridge.
Hey-o! Well, I didn't eat it yet because I still have to have my mom check it for razor blades.
Well, Johnny, despite your certainty, the jury is still out if MJF listens to our podcast, because one thing we do know is that our podcast sure is popular among wrestlers.
Wait, Dave, why do you say that? Is that just because the official, actual, verified, not just the $8 paid at John Cena follows us on Twitter?
John Cena follows us on Twitter? Why can't I see him? Anyway, what I was getting at is that two-time WWE Hall of Famer X-Pac, aka the 123 Kid, aka Sean Waltman, retweeted our post about having David Bloom on the latest episode.
I don't know what any of that means, Dave, but it does turn out that David's dad is a big-name wrestling agent. Who knew?
Trust me, being retweeted by X-Pac is a big deal. All of our listeners who are also professional wrestling fans are freaking out right now. And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
Too sweet.
Our intern Frank tells us he will be posting the first few episodes from our weird bonus series exclusively for our Patreon family to hear first over at patreon.com/2000inch in the very near future, with additional episodes to follow.
We're super excited for you to hear all about it. And as you know, we recorded bonus episode concert reviews for every concert that either Dave or I attended on the tour.
Stay tuned to our official Patreon page at patreon.com/2000inch, as intern Frank will share those over there first as soon as they are ready.
Last episode, we aired the first part of our interview with David Bloom, the incredible actor who portrays Teenage Al in Weird the Al Yankovic Story. He shared so many great insights and stories, and we just can't wait for you to hear the rest of the interview. So let's pick it up right where we left off on our last episode.
Like now, if I'm ever at a polka party and someone's passing around an accordion, I can do something. I can
You got
show
it.
off.
You got it.
I'm good. Oh my god, no! It's fun, man. Accordion's fun.
That's so
I liked
cool.
it.
Have you played it since?
I don't know where to get my hands on one.
You're Weird Al.
Oh, sure, right? Yeah, I did play a young Weird Al. That's fair. I haven't played it since. It was. I was like, part of me was like, do I continue? Do I keep going on accordion lessons and learn to play this thing? Because I'm always learning to, I want to play things and I want to learn things. So there was that part that was like, I've had to play instruments for things before and I've kept going. Is this another one of those? But I have not got to play it since. Hopefully I can though, because it's a neat little party trick now.
Now, in the scene with Toby or Nick Yankovic, he actually smashes your accordion. Is that a real accordion getting smashed, or is that movie magic?
Oh yes, that's a real accordion.
Wow,
that's a real accordion. And obviously, they did it. They swapped it, and they did it in its own special insert of smashing the accordion, very specific, it was a stunt. So they did it in a very stunt way. No, but it was, I think they only had like 3 or 4.
Oh wow! So they had to really.
Yeah, maybe that's a little more. Oh yeah, they had only a couple takes to really get it, but I think they did it as many times as they could. But really, they didn't need more than 1 or 2. It went so well. It went really well.
Were you there for that?
Oh yeah, I was watching on the monitor. It was great. That was the same day that was the penultimate day of filming. I was watching it. We'd done everything that for that scene, and the last thing we were gonna do was Toby smash on the accordion and set up the little camera, put the insert down, and just tossed it to the ground. Ugh, it was fun. It was so fun. That was so fun.
Now, I have to say, if I was there, and I assume if Dave was there, we probably would have left with a pocket full of accordion pieces. Did you? Were you tempted? Did you get to grab some keys?
Tempted. I didn't get a chance to stuff my pockets or anything, but I was tempted. Okay. I have to say to get some accordion pieces in there. I still had my accordion at home that I was practicing on, so I had enough to go around, but I was kind of tempted to kind of collect. I mean, I was done up in the wig and the glasses and the clothes, and so it just like I felt such a part of it that I was satisfied beyond compare. But I did, I kind of saw some of those keys fly around, and I'm like, I could take one. Maybe. Don't tell props.
Maybe.
They wouldn't have cared.
Don't tell art department.
Now, speaking of art department, there's a couple other pretty iconic pieces that you got to work with. And first, let's go to the Accordion magazine.
Oh my god, yeah.
The Accordion World magazine. Now, is that
the Accordion World magazine?
I think I know the answer to this, but I just want to hear it from you. That wasn't a full magazine. That was just like a piece of paper.
No, that was just. I think if I remember correctly, I think it was just there was like four. It was the cover, a back, and 2 fake pages. And then the rest was just an actual magazine. So I kind of had to have my finger on which page was the right one to open to. Because if I didn't, it would just be like a random magazine.
Okay.
But
Right.
Next. I'll go more into it. But yes, what else you want to know about?
Well, the other big iconic thing that I don't know if you got to actually be with, but in the same scene of you is Hey Boy, which is, the introduction of Hey Boy. Toby's holding Hey Boy.
The Hey Boy.
Did you get a selfie with Hey Boy? Tell me about everything you know.
I wish. I love the Hey Boy. The scene of the Hey Boy in the bed, just don't let the bed bugs give you night terrors, and the Hey Boy is just in the bed, sprawled out. The only thing, I got to see the scenes with the Hey Boy of them, finding it and everything, and I got to see that other scene with Julianne. But the last scene that we filmed on that day with that house was me and the police, being held. She opens the door. Julianne opens the door. Toby runs in with the Hey Boy. Got it by the neck or the shirt, holding it up. It's just, I did get to the Hey Boy was, oh my, yeah. And then the next scene, the Hey Boy's on the other side of the couch. So I got to play around with the Hey Boy a lot and be around it. And it was, oh God, it was so funny. That's still, it's one of my favorite scenes is when the Hey Boy's just laying in the bed and
Yes.
and it pans over it. It's just so stupid. It's so perfect. It's great.
Because on the bus when they say Hey Boy and your character doesn't know what that is, and watching it for the first time, I'm like, Hey Boy, what does that mean? Like, what, I'm not in on this. And then the reveal of the bed with the Hey
it's so like great. A boy made a straw. Oh my God, no! I at first when I first read it, I was like, oh, like a scarecrow, kinda, maybe. I kind of got it, but then a couple, we had to kind of explain it when we were talking about it, and then and it was funny too because the two other guys playing Kip and Robbie, they were like, Hey Boy, and here's what a Hey Boy is, and I showed them pictures, and it was just it's just so funny. It's just so funny. Oh, it's great.
Now that you know about the secrets of Hey Boy, where do you plan to use that?
Maybe jury duty.
That's an excellent
Now
answer.
that I'm an adult, maybe because I couldn't sneak out anymore because I can drive and I'm legal. So jury duty.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Perfect answer.
That's a great answer.
Thank you.
Well, you got to work with some pretty big names, Julian Nicholson, Toby Huss, and Scott Aukerman. Can you just tell us what it was like working with those three amazing actors?
Oh, they're just. I just have nothing but incredible things to say about all of them. I mean, they're so. I mean, they're wonderful human beings. I have to say, like they're just very just kind, personable. We had, great conversations, but then just acting wise, drama wise, comedy wise, like I was saying, when I was working with Toby, it was very hard not to laugh, especially when I was on camera, because that's when you holding it back more.
Right.
I mean, he just, the first scene, just in it right away, just, just full. Oh, he's so funny. He's so talented. It was really fun to work with him because to be able to work with people that give you something to work with, like you can play off of them. And as an actor, I'd say myself, I feel like I do better work when I'm working with somebody that gives it, that helps me, that kind of lets me, because that's just, it's more fun. You get to be more creative. So just to watch him work, and then you kind of have his anger, and then Julianne is just so sweet and funny, and some of the scenes that I'm not into, she's great. I'm just calling to let you know that your father is not proud of you, and just even that scene in the trailer that's like, we think it's best if you just don't be who you are. Like the way she's just like, and she comes into, I don't know if this made it because of just pacing, but after that scene where he smashes the accordion, I run out of the room and slam the door. She comes in. She goes, "What happened? Where's Alfie?" And then Toby, with just all seriousness, just looks at her and goes, "He's dead." What?
That did not
dead
make
to
the cut.
me. Dead to me. Hands down, one of my favorite lines. I'm so sad that it didn't make the cut, but it was just them playing off of each other, of his just comedic seriousness, just the sincerity of how just dark it was, to her just sweet and funny, and the two of them, and then Scott was great. He came in just to do the one little, be the cop, and just a delight to be around and talk to, and just came in, and it was fun. It was funny. He's like, "Do you mind if I grab your shoulder?" I'm like, just do whatever's funniest. Grabs me by the shoulder, knocks on the door. So it was like the weird, we were pushing the clock a little bit because we had to finish up the day, and it was the last scene that we did, and it was so funny because I had to be so sad and serious while Toby's running in with the "Hey Boy." Just oh my god, it's hard to be serious in a scene where you have to be, but it's really funny because it's really funny, and when it's genuinely actually funny, I want to laugh because I think it's just so ridiculously great. But I just have to play it like so sad, and so I wanted to play up that that. Yeah, this is Weird Al as a kid, but at the same time, this is a tortured soul that just wants to be himself, but is told that he can't, and that's part of the character, and that comes out with getting yelled at by my dad and my mom, who wants the best for me, but is, worried and just kind of that dynamic. So you got to keep playing it so serious. Like, this is my life. This is everything. This is all that I want to do. And my parents, who are just old fashioned, are essentially telling me, you can't do this. You have to do what we want you to do. But it's so funny because he runs in with the accordion and the hey boy and it's just, it's so hard not to laugh. But when you gotta like keep this internal monologue going of seriousness, I'm here, I'm real, this is sad, I'm hurt, I'm sorry, it's such a great, I'm so impressed by this whole thing.
We haven't talked too much about, outside of the actual accordion part of the polka party scene, just the ridiculousn's of, teenagers having this secret polka party and listening to accordion music and dancing and the chicken dance. What are some of your favorite parts of filming that?
Oh, I mean, just the whole set decoration of it. Just the way that they took this place, and half the kids were, in 70s street clothes, and then the kids, like you saw, lederhosen and hats and just Bavarian, just Scandinavian polka clothes, like just your stereotypical. And it was just like the fact that it was all just polka music playing, and extras who are just like, oh, I just took this job because it was just, extra work. The background, who were just, I mean, these people were dressed up in lederhosen and told, hey, it's just grab arms, link arms, and just dance in a circle. Yep. All right, guys. And background, it's probably the weirdest background job I think a lot of these people have had, because they were just, and it was so funny watching them, just because the three of us are dressed pretty standard for the 70s, and then you have half of the extras who are just in lederhosen and their suspenders and their hats and their clogs and their shoes. I mean, it was just the music they were playing, the costumes, the way people were dressed. It was so funny. It's so jarring because you think polka party and you're like, oh, it'll be so cool to see a polka party, and then you go into it and it's a polka party. Like, you can't imagine it until you're there, and then you're like, oh, this is actually, the fact that they're talking about, polka records and oh my god, it was just, it was such a unique scene that I never thought that was something I'd do as an actor, and it's one of my favorite scenes that my favorite set of scenes that I think I've ever filmed in my entire life.
Oh, I love that you actually listened to our breakdown of the trailer.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was, I mean, you guys went, it was a short trailer, but I was so impressed by just how much of a deep dive you guys took into it. I was great. Like, I'd be listening to it. I'm like, let's see, maybe jump ahead like 15 seconds, and it's the same topic. And I'm like, this is great. This is fantastic. so in depth. I'm like, I watched this trailer like a couple times, and I'm like, oh, cool. There's me. Oh, it looks great. And then just listen to that. It's just diving into it. I was just, oh no, real impressed. It was great.
Now, I think in there, I mentioned, I thought the polka party was shot perhaps in the same house as the other scenes with you. Was I correct, or is that a different location?
Oh, you were very close. You were very close. It was not the same place, but it was the same street.
Ah.
So we shot in, I was listening to that and I was like, okay, almost. Because I'm like, I know. I sitting here listening to it, about to get on a plane. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, I know. No, it was not shot in the same house. We shot in Pomona, California, and there's a couple streets of these very 70s, 60s, even 50s looking houses of just one story, very old, typical garage, and they all look the same. And I had never, I think it's by Cal Poly, Pomona, I want to say. So it's, I mean, it's fairly far from the city. And I had never been there, and I had no idea what these houses were. I still really don't know. I mean, my best assumption was that they're all just kind of kept like that for filming.
Oh, okay.
Huh, interesting.
Like you can, like, I don't know who lives there. I don't know what I just kind of made my own little assumptions, and I'm sure it's a Google away, but the Al's house was shot in that the exterior they have of that house. They shot in that house.
Oh, okay.
And then the polka party was shot in a house maybe across the street, but it was like long driveway, huge lawn, this like gigantic, like, low ceilings, 50s, 60s archways, very old looking, but it was all shot in that little area of, I think it was Pomona, but it was in Pomona, California. It was all shot in that area that felt like it was kept the same for filming, because then every now and then I'll see like a car commercial that's like, cars in the past, blah, 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 and they drive past that street.
Oh, interesting.
They want it to be the 60s. And
Cool.
So I think it's a specific place, but I could be totally wrong. Don't quote me. But that house, I believe they do an exterior on it. That was one of the houses on the street. I believe that is the house that we did shoot in. That doorway is the actual doorway. Like, it's not like you go into the house and it's actually where we shot. And the same thing, I don't think they show the exterior of the polka party, but it was just this huge, like, old house that we were able to get the living room and the den and that little dining room that they were able to pace around. And they decorated them look pretty similar. They all kind of had the same look, but it was just just a relic. Because, we're in the 70s, so the TV's old and the table's old and the furniture's old, and they got to be accurate. So to walk in that house and just stare at it was just, it was like being in the past. It really was. It was great.
So, David, I assume you've seen the entire film by now, and I'm just curious, what did you think about that surprise ending?
Run it by me one more time. What you mean by surprise ending?
Okay, at the end of the film, Weird Al is up on stage accepting an award, and he ends up getting shot and killed.
Oh yeah, I have seen that part. I thought it was just
okay.
I mean, it's just I still think about it to this day, because it was just, I thought it was perfect. I thought it was just like, I think the fact that it's one, because I have not been able to see the entire film yet, but I have seen, and I'm sure by the time this is out, I will have seen it. But I mean, I'm absolutely going to watch it the first day that it comes out. But
right,
I have seen that scene. Because that connects directly with the thing that I was saying about the technically, but arguably the most famous accordion player in extremely specific genre of music.
Yeah.
And that award, that was a really funny scene too. But just the fact that he gets up in the front row with this huge gun, like, it's so like, because obviously not. Obviously he's fine. But it's just the fact that it's like, it kind of like, it ends like a biopic, like the Weird Al was, I can't remember what the words say, but it was like, we're shot and killed. But
assassinated.
It's like, obviously not, but it's so over the top in such a real, funny, stupid, great way that it's like, how else would this movie end? I mean, he's like, it's such a rock star story. How else do you want the movie to end? Like, it's no, I have seen that part. And I think it's a great choice. I think the fact that it's just like, again, just obviously not, but the fact that it's like, because it's, how real is this really? Sure, but it's just, it adds on and it piles on. And I think if it was just a real ending about, how real biopic, well, this is a real biopic,
right?
But how non-satirical, non-Weird Al biopics, I'd say. Because obviously there are things in this biopic that are not as accurate as some others, like the ending. Um, I'd say that if it ended like your standard true story, it wouldn't be as satisfying than if it just ended in just a Weird Al way. And I think it's just because, yeah, you know, you want, on the one hand, a retelling of this guy's life and how Al was able to be so famous, but on the other hand, you want Weird Al to tell you a hilarious story, and I think that just adds to it so much. And just it's just it's the way I see this film is, if you like Weird Al, you'll love this film, because everything you like about Weird Al is everything this film is. And if you appreciate that everything that Al does, and his personality, his music, his comedy, acting in movies and bits and everything in that regard, then this is everything in that. It's just like it's so Weird Al. And that's everything that I would want from this movie, as just someone that's watching it, and to be able to be him and do 4 or 5 scenes that are just so Weird Al. Hiding the fact that I'm playing an accordion, not being a closet accordion player anymore, and you know, the polka party, and there was this great oh my god, there was this great scene that, oh my god, it was Andrew that plays, or not Andrew, I think it was, I can't remember if it's been a minute, I think it was Kip maybe instead of Robbie. One of them stops me, and no, it was Andrew that played Robbie. But one of them stops me and grabs me on the shoulders and says, "Why don't you live a little?" Like, so serious. Like, guys, I gotta get out of here. Pulls me away. So just genuine. And then immediately skips away to the polka music, and it was the funniest thing that I think I've ever seen. It was just, come on, man, why don't you just get out of your bubble and live a little? And then just his living a little, he skips away to the polka music, and then
Yeah.
two, I will say, I'm not sure, because when this is out, I will have seen it. I did not get a chance to see this part, but and you can tell me if this made it. There was, when we first shot the scene where I finished playing the accordion and I'm smiling at everybody, they kind of just, yeah, oh my god, they start clapping, but I'm not sure which one they kept, but there were a couple variations where they all explode with just cheering like we just won the World Series. Just like it was everything they wanted and more, and they just, everyone's quiet, and they just 3, 2, 1, like, yeah! Not sure which version hit, but that was just, oh my god, that was such a great, I was so impressed by that. I thought that was so funny, and just the fact that, you know, they went from, you know, just, you know, looking at me like the hell, to the fact that
Right.
they just explode and love it. And oh, so funny. Oh, it's so ridiculously good.
I'm actually pretty interested in, what are the circumstances in that you're able to see some of these cuts before the movie was together? Was that part of your contract, or just, oh, David, you gotta see this?
Pretty much what it was just ADR sessions was pretty much it. Is I went in for a couple months after filming it. I went in for ADR, and that was when, you know, he's just like, hey, take a look. And then I got to see my stuff, and I got to see a little bit of the ending. Obviously we didn't have time to sit down and watch the whole thing. No, just ADR sessions. I'm sure that if I, you know, wrote people and said, hey, I really wanted this and that. But everyone who has worked on it, producers, directors, you know, Al, and Eric Appel, who is so, again, I will never shut up about this. He's one of my favorite directors I think I've ever worked with at this point. So fantastically funny and wonderful, and just just great to be around, just great to really, as a director, just, helps you feel good about what you're doing, and is just encouraging and wonderful and funny and has a great comedic mind. He, he just kind of gave me the vibe of just impressed with everything. And he was just very keen to be like, hey, look what you were able to do. And, no, I was just, I have grown up a lot as a person, and, I've gone from, everybody hates listening to themselves and everybody hates watching themselves until, you kind of look at it one day and you listen to it one day and you're like, oh, not bad. That's maybe I'm making this a bigger deal than I thought. And then you kind of just, especially with the glasses and the wig, and I look like myself, but I also don't. But it was just to watch it and to see it after filming it. And, you leave the day and you're like, I felt good about that. I felt proud. And then to see it kind of come together and be like, oh my God, what I wanted to do, at least in my eyes, plays. Obviously, there's going to be some people that watch it and be like, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Okay, maybe not the greatest thing they've ever seen, but they'll like it. They'll like it.
No. Dave, I'm speaking for myself and for Dave. Greatest thing we've ever seen. I hope you agree with me, Dave.
Of course.
Oh, well, I'm sure. But I'm sure that now and then you'll find somebody that will watch the movie. Maybe my scenes will be like, I don't know. But at least for me, that has been able to see what I've been able to see, I'm just so hooked. And I just think it's just so it's just so brilliant.
Now, just for anyone who doesn't know what ADR is, can you just give us a very brief description? I think there's enough context clues in what you said, but just in case.
Sure. Yeah. So ADR is essentially, the best way I think I could describe it is going back into a recording booth and essentially dubbing over the lines that you said but did not come out clear enough for the final cut of the movie. So, for example, one of the lines that you digitally replaced, one of the lines that I've had to replace was just some of the lines where I was looking at I'm not going to play it. Sometimes that won't come out as clear as you want it to. Maybe it was just a lav issue or a boom issue, or it's just you didn't get it out as enunciated as you want. Mm-hmm. You go into the studio a little bit later, you just dub it over, and most of the time you can't even tell that it was dubbed over. And while you're there, what's nice about ADR is you watch the whole thing while it happens, so you get to see what you've done, and it's kind of a little like, yeah, you got to put more work in and redo some of the lines, but at the same time, you get to watch what you've done. And
right. That's so
that
cool.
might be, sometimes that's the first time you've actually seen it. So I like the fact that I was able to see this movie and see what I've been able to see of it. So very fun.
Well, David, I know as you said, you're back into acting. You're doing a lot of stuff now. What is something upcoming that we should watch for you in after Weird is released?
Oh my God, yes. Well, I am in the upcoming show on Disney Plus, American Born Chinese.
Cool.
I'm in about 5 out of 8 episodes of that. I've already seen, at this point, I've already seen a couple teasers and this and that. It looks incredible. Everyone that was on that did such an incredible job, and I'm really lucky to be a part of that. And then I just, which will not be out for a while, but I just finished a feature film called Screams from the Tower. And when that'll be out, I wish I could give a definitive answer, but in the next year,
cool.
I'm sure it'll be places.
Oh, cool.
Keep an eye out. I always throw a bunch of random stuff on my story for whatever I've been in with probably zero context to make it go, why does this guy keep reposting Weird Al stuff? But like just articles about it. This guy's a big fan, huh? But next thing you can look out for me for is American Born Chinese, and really proud of that.
And if people are interested in following you on Twitter and Instagram. It's at David H. Bloom. And David, this has just been so incredible to chat with you, hear about your experience in the film, learning that you're not only just, someone who looks like Weird Al and did a great job in the film, you're also a fan of Weird Al.
Thank you.
It makes us so happy. So really glad we got to connect with you, and thanks for joining us.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me on. I love to talk and talk and talk, especially about Weird Al and especially about making this thing. And I had such a great time, and I'm very lucky that I was able to be a part of this and talk to y'all. Thank you again for having me on.
Well, thank you so much for joining us last episode and this episode, David. We had so much fun talking to you.
We can't wait to catch David on Disney Plus next year in American Born Chinese. I bet it's going to be great.
And for other David Bloom related news and updates, be sure to give him a follow over at David H. Bloom on Instagram and Twitter.
This episode is brought to you in part by Discover Darwin, promoting tourism in Darwin, Minnesota. Not only is historic Darwin, Minnesota beautiful, it's also cold.
For our listeners who are planning to visit Darwin, Minnesota today, the best time to visit will happen sometime between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m.
I mean, Dave, surely the best time to visit Darwin, Minnesota is any time. Why are we signaling out that specific hour?
Well, at 9 a.m. today, the predicted temperature will be 24 degrees Fahrenheit, and at 10 a.m., the predicted temperature will be 29 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. Sometime during that early morning hour, it will be exactly 27 degrees Fahrenheit in Darwin, Minnesota.
Exactly. And if we assume temperature rises in a linear fashion, then every 12 minutes during that hour, the temperature will rise exactly 1 degree.
So what you're saying is it will be 25 degrees Fahrenheit at 9:12 and 26 degrees Fahrenheit at 9:24.
Yep. The most opportune time to visit Darwin, Minnesota today will be at exactly 9:36 a.m. when the temperature is exactly 27 degrees Fahrenheit.
Nice! All right, Dave, do Albuquerque next.
I can't. The lowest temperature in Albuquerque today is going to be 28 degrees Fahrenheit.
So visit Darwin, Minnesota on your next linearly expedition. Discover Darwin more than just the twine ball. And after you visit Darwin, Minnesota, be sure to attempt to visit discoverdarwin.biz.
This is a special hamster alert to the Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast broadcast alert system, sponsored by Jack Bateman.
Did you know that hamsters have 6 senses?
Whoa, I totally did not.
Well, believe me, it is true. I read it on the internet.
All right, so I'm guessing 5 of those senses are eyesight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. But what is the 6th sense?
It's a 1999 thriller movie written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan, but that's not important right now.
No. I meant, what is the hamster's 6th sense?
Well, according to website omelet.us, the hamster's 6th sense is whiskers.
Wait, so is this a website about eggs or Shakespeare or what? Why are they writing about hamsters?
Oh, it's not just hamsters, Dave. They also share facts about other animals.
Oh, which animals?
Well, chickens, guinea pigs, gerbils, cats, birds, dogs, and Christmas.
I am so confused.
That is all for this episode's very important special hamster alert via the Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast broadcast alert system.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast is brought to you absolutely free thanks to our incredible sponsors, Burrito, Jackson Scoggins, Discover Darwin, Jack Bateman, and Mark Heidenreich. Our podcast is also supported by everyone in our Patreon family, with special thanks to our amazing close personal friend level Patreon supporters. Zeb, Adriana, Ajax, Allison, Blair, Dana, Gus and Alicia, Jake, Javier, Kenneth, Kev, Matthew, Mike, Nancy, NES Josh 64, Scott, UH Jeff, and Zach. Also thanks to Alexis and everyone else in our pretty stinking majestic Patreon family.
If you enjoy our freakishly fantastic, family-friendly, wonderful, wild, wacky, Weird Al podcast, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/2000inch. There are incredible, awesome benefits like getting your name mentioned on the podcast, just like those awesome people, and your own private RSS feed, plus access to secret episodes, among other perks.
And now would be a really good time to join if you have not already, because not only will you be the first to hear our remaining The Unfortunate Return of the Ridiculously Self-Indulgent, Ill-Advised Vanity Tour concert review bonus episodes, you will also be the first to hear our brand new Weird the Al Yankovic Story Insider bonus episode series.
And don't forget to check out our official merchandise over at shop.2000inch.com. All proceeds from purchases of merchandise go directly towards supporting our fine podcast. And now that American Thanksgiving is here, why not purchase a timely face mask and start an argument with your uncle?
We love hearing from our listeners and other Weird Al fans, so be sure to join our Facebook community over at group.2000inch.com and be sure to visit our Discord server for even more riveting Weird Al and Red Rumped Agouti related conversations. You can find both of them linked on our website, as well as information about past episodes and guests over at weirdalpodcast.com or 2000inch.com.
And while you're there, click on Ridiculously Self-Indulgent bonus episodes to follow along with our adventures on tour, or Black and White and Weird All Over bonus episodes for our special series where author John Bermuda Schwartz walks us through his first book, page by page and picture by picture.
Keep up on new episodes, podcast news, and events by following at 2000inch on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And thank you for subscribing and leaving reviews on your favorite podcast app. Make sure you are subscribed because not only does it help the podcast, it gives you 5% cash back on all credit card purchases. Plus, we also love it when we receive voicemail via our official patent-pending 27-hour-a-day podcast hotline, 347-SPATULA. You might even hear your message in a future episode.
Thank you once again to this episode's guest, David Bloom. We also want to thank John Katz, Lee Seitz, Johnny O'Hearn, Jake Larson, Chris Michaud, Catherine Kiesling, Steve Barnes, X-Pac, and John Cena. Thank you to the Grammy Award-winning Jim Kimo West for our incredible podcast theme song. And thank you to Weird Al Yankovic, as this podcast probably would not exist without him. And a big thanks to all of you, our loyal listeners, subscribers, Patreon supporters and sponsors, and everyone else who makes our podcast possible.
Thank you for choosing Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. And until next time, remember to gill and chill.
Hey Dave, 'tis the season, so what are you thankful for?
Well, for one, I'm thankful we haven't made the joke yet that Thanksgiving is just Thursday for people outside the U.S. But to be honest, it would be a lot easier for me to list all the things I'm not thankful for.
Well, I would hate to cause you any single, even slight inconvenience whatsoever, Dave. So what are you not thankful for?
Well, number one on the list, intern Frank.
Okay, we all knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, so he totally sucks.
Yeah, you're right. He really sucks. Really, really sucks.
That was Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 178-inch.
As seen in the Times Union by Eric Appel's in-laws. Did you get any souvenirs from the set? I know you said you didn't get the smashed accordion.
I don't think I got any souvenirs from this set. But I did get just 2 days of like 12 plus hours of wearing a wig, which you think would just be fine. Well, I mean, who thinks it's fine? But so many clips, a lot of clips. So I got to look more like Weird Al for 2 days, and I think that's enough. That's beyond enough.
Exactly. And if we assume temperature rises linearly. Exactly. And if we assume temperature rises linearly, linearly, I can't say that word. Exactly. And if we assume temperature rises linearly, Exactly. And if we assume temperature rises linearly,
Dave! Linearly.
exactly. And if we assume